throughout the nation and around the globe. From his heart to yours, it's Dear James Live, bringing you intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions.
Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we look at the current energies, the intuitive wisdom and insights, and we go as guided. And action-packed as always this month of August, or mid-August almost. So there's a lot going on, and we're just going to jump in. We're going to quickly look at the main energies. Welcome, Kiki. Unite. We're going to be dealing with hexagram 8, 13, fellowship, socialize, how we come together, and it's the 3 of Cups in the tarot. The 9 is this small restraint, surrender, and it is about self-discipline and so forth, and how we exercise that. Welcome, Alicia. And 21, biting through, discern. Discernment is huge. We need that to exercise that soul muscle that gives us discernment. And then 3, difficult beginnings, persevere. And we talked about how we are in this major, massive transition. As above, so below. And as we move into that, let's just look at the chart that we're working with. This is Venus and Jupiter conjunct in Cancer, but it's also conjunct Sirius. And you'll see how this plays out. I mean, it's a big deal. And these energies, so we're working with this Venus and Jupiter aligned with Sirius, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune sextile. We have the Aquarius full moon. We have Mercury direct. And then we have these mystic rectangles, the envelopes, the grand trines. There is so much going on. And we can see that in the world playing out. But this is really this massive message. And it's our main theme for this week. But before we get there, I just want to quickly go back. Because with all of this astrology going on, and it ties into our main theme, our astrological influence, the theme for that is magic in the making. There is tremendous magic in the making going on. So while Rome is burning, so to speak, while everything in the old is just, I mean, literally collapsing, and, you know, the most egregious of the egregious of the egregious is taking place, it's to remember that simultaneously, there's magic in the making. There's all of these massive harmonious aspects taking place astrologically that are going to move us forward. And they're harmonious. The sextiles, the trines, the kite formations, the mystic rectangles. There's all of these things astrologically occurring. And they're going to keep playing out for a good into the next year and so forth. So there is this point of which the old ends, it's going to collapse under its own weight of hubris and entitlement and arrogance and ignorance. That's the shadow aspect. And then there's just this beacon of light, this beautiful opportunity. And it's number 2 from the unseen. Opportunities open, await, where previously only a void resided. And then they had the word stagnation, and they had me underline it. So a stag is an adult male deer. It can be a male-only bachelor party. And it can also be where you go to a gathering alone. So stag, so male, and then a nation, this grouping of peoples. And what the unseen was saying is, so opportunities open, await, where previous only a void resided. And this stagnation, male-dominated society. So where this has stagnated, where this energy, good morning, Colleen, welcome, where previously there was only a void, opportunities are going to open. And this male-dominated society is going to collapse, disperse, because it's, you know, it's a commercial from way back when. It's like the United Colors of Benetton. It's time for everyone to have a seat at the table. And where the current infrastructure is trying to reclaim this kind of male-dominated, white-dominated matrix, energy, society, Been there, done that. It's collapsing. It's over. We as humans, as humanity, have come far too far to return. And that's just not how, the unseen, the universe works. The arc of destiny moves forward. So let's move to our actual main theme. Love this image. The main theme is the star of magic. And we're talking about Sirius and Venus and Jupiter and this alignment. The star of magic. And of course, we see this. Let me just bring it up really quickly. You see the massive star, the six-pointed star in the astrological placements. And thereby, so the star of magic, and we have this beautiful mythical unicorn. And of course, mythical unicorns symbolize purity, magic, healing, spiritual guidance. They were on cylinder seals in ancient Mesopotamia. We're talking about the origin of humanity, ancient Mesopotamia. It's the Anunnaki, the Sumerians. So it's on their cylinder seals. And then the constellation Monoceros borders Canis Major, which is where Sirius is located. They are two constellations that abut one another. So we have the star of magic crossing the Rubicon. And crossing the Rubicon, we had this, and Jupiter and Venus align with Sirius. That's the theme. So the star of magic crossing the Rubicon, Jupiter and Venus align with Sirius. Well, what we're talking about here, because back on December 21st, 2022, 12/21/22, and if you watch that show, the numbers, very powerful, very auspicious. The title of that show was Crossing the Rubicon. A change is gonna come. Well, here we are. And you can see again in this beautiful image for the main theme, this mythical unicorn, this mythical force and being of magic and so forth. And you can see it's literally getting ready to step over this golden path, this golden light. And so crossing the Rubicon is an idiom meaning to take a decisive and irreversible step, one that commits a person to a specific course of action with no turning back. It's number 5, denotes change from the unseen. No turning back, no giving up. Forward ho. We'll come to forward ho in a minute. But so crossing the Rubicon River marked the boundary between the Roman province of Gaul and Italy. It was illegal for a Roman general to lead his army across the river into Italy. Julius Caesar, returning from his campaign in Gaul, was ordered by the Roman Senate to disband his army. Instead, he chose to cross the Rubicon with his troops, initiating a civil war. We've been talking about not since Pluto and Aquarius, and Uranus and Gemini, this whole thing of not since the French-American industrial revolutions, not since independence from the Mad King of America from Britain, then into the next time Uranus was in Gemini was the emancipation of the slaves and so forth. Then came World War II, and now we are here at this present moment. This point of no return. This act was a deliberate challenge to the Senate's authority and effectively, it's like the powers that be, and effectively meant Caesar was declaring war on Rome. It was a point of no return where the consequences were significant and irreversible. Today we use this crossing of the Rubicon. It signifies a decisive moment where one commits to a course of action. And we've talked about number 4 last week. What do I stand for in this commitment? And often with significant consequences, after which there is no turning back. It is used to describe situations where a choice has been made and the consequences must be faced, regardless of whether they are positive or negative. And remember, we're working with all of these astrological energies. We're working with the star, the hermit, temperance, and the tower. And the first 3, it's like the star is the soul, and the hermit is the light. What are the steps I'm taking? Temperance is creating and crafting that specific, I'm trying to get the right word, but like brew, if you will, of your soul. And then the tower, so regardless of whether the crossing the Rubicon is positive or negative. The Tower is divine neutral, but the point is, what's at your center? What do you stand for? What choices are you making? And your Tower moment, and we're all going to receive one, we're all going through it, will be received or experienced, air quotes, positively or negatively, depending upon all of that, all of these choices we're making. Kiki is saying, I'm believing this, but I'm not seeing the bad guys collapsing. They have militarized my city. Yes, so Kiki, this is exactly, because again, look how desperate. See, it looks on the outwardly, oh, this show of force, brute force, and it's all an old playbook. It's the shadow aspect of Mars, of the divine masculine, and this, air quotes, brute force. They are doing anything and everything to appear in control, all powerful. I mean, remember, Wizard of Oz, this is in here. You know, the smoke and the fire and all of that when Dorothy and the Tin Man and Toto and the Cowardly Lion and the Straw Man, only for Toto to run over and pull the curtain back, and it's some, pardon me, orange man pulling levers, doing all of this. It's smoke and mirrors. It's illusion. It's Neptune. And so, again, it's about standing firm in our knowing that we are advancing. It may look like we're going backwards. And yes, there are literal things that are occurring that make it, that are executing these types of actions. However, again, and yet, what it does for every action, it's Newton's theory, for every action, there's an equal and greater reaction. And so all of this, in the way it's being done, it's awakening people. It's awakening the electorate. It's awakening people to the fact that this is not what we want. We don't want demagoguery. We don't want oligarchy. We don't want authoritarianism. We don't want overt, patriarchal shadow energies. And that, of course, is not in sync, in concert with the energies. As above, so below. They are all shifting. And they are shifting forward. They're shifting into air signs and fire. They are shifting into this Aquarian matriarchal we the people era. And it's number one from the unseen. Visionary advance is just a heartbeat away. Lean into your center. So don't get caught up in the illusion. Don't buy into, the delusion and the illusion. Visionary advance is just a heartbeat away, and you'll see this coming up, how this ties in. Lean into your center. So let's look quickly at, they want me to go to our mantra first. I allow the mystery to unfold. See, this is all about allowing the mystery of life, of the soul, of the unseen, the mystery to unfold. It means we're not controlling it. It means that we're not buying into or falling down the rabbit hole into these illusions and delusions. We're staying centered. I allow the mystery to unfold. And I'm in alignment. There's visionary advance. The star of magic. We're crossing the Rubicon, this point of no return. And it's Jupiter and Venus align with Sirius. And from 12/21/22, crossing the Rubicon, a change is going to come. And here it is. So let's look really quickly. This is from astrologer Chani Nicholas. It's her weekly issue number 78. And she says, you've waited 12 years for this. One could say we've waited a lifetime for this, but Chani Nicholas, this is the turning point you've been waiting for. Venus and Jupiter are meeting up in Cancer for the first time in 12 years and boosting our bonds at triple speed. Remember, triple speed. Last week we had the trifecta effect, and that was in the 2 gates, 2 trees, 2 houses, God is trying to tell you something episode. So we have this with these 3 coming in, with Jupiter and Venus coming in conjunct in Cancer. They're meeting up with Sirius. They're in alignment with Sirius. It's some of the best astrology of the year for seeding intentions, especially for community, unity, or anything bigger than ourselves. Before you overthink it, you don't need to launch a nonprofit overnight. Just open yourself to whatever supports your connection with others. Friend dates count. With Mercury stationing direct, which happened yesterday, on the 11th, the timing couldn't be better. Acts of care will spread farther than you think. And remember, we had that in last week's episode as well, this whole paying it forward aspect. So acts of care will spread farther than you think. And these acts of care for ourselves, to remember to not, to be the gatekeeper of the information that you allow in. Because to Kiki's point, it can literally overwhelm and it can literally take you down the rabbit hole. And so there's heavy movement here, but it's going to crescendo. You know, in the beginning is the end, and the end is the beginning. So all of this is happening simultaneously. What we're seeing is the crescendo, that dragon that's been pinned down, and its head, you know, wailing and gnashing and everything before it just gets lopped off. We've been talking about that. So now let's move to, we're going to go to our key word here first. And our key word is materialization. And here is the, you know, the painter's palette with all these various beautiful colors. And it's an interesting, because what we're talking about, the star of magic and the magic in the making, and all of these auspicious astrological energies and aspects, it's because it's going to materialize. So materialization, the process of something becoming real or taking physical form. The act of making something real or tangible, bringing it into existence. The creation of something new, often from a less concrete state. The appearance of a spirit or other entity in a physical form, often involving the manifestation of matter from an unknown source. An occasion when someone or something appears, often suddenly. What we're talking about with these beautiful astrological energies that are showing up in these charts, and they're commencing. Remember, the unseen spoke about August and then the fall. So this kind of, look what's happening between now and, let's say, end of the fall. These beautiful energies that, again, come out of nowhere, meaning they're coming from on high, as above, so below. So all of this beautiful, auspicious energy, yes, it looks like the world is just burning. It's on fire. And yet, what happens with burning, with fire? It regenerates, it creates new life, new growth. Is the act of the fire painful to bear witness to endure, yes. However, what it does, it's nature's way of regenerating. And this is what we're walking through. This is what we're going through. So now we're going to go to moon omens. And this is August 2025 astrology forecast. Return to the heart. The unseen is saying a visionary advance is just a heartbeat away. Lean into your center. Here, moon omens is talking about a return to the heart. August 2025 is a month centered around returning to our hearts, coming home to ourselves, and connecting with our essence, our soul. The month begins with Mars entering Libra, an invitation for us to explore what it means to assert ourselves, our needs, and our desires with diplomacy. See, this is humility, diplomacy, not hubris, not entitlement, not arrogance, diplomacy, and consideration for the reality and feelings of others. That's we the people, that's matriarchal, that's Aquarian. Shortly after, on August 9th, a powerful Aquarius full moon reminds us to balance the pursuit of personal actualization, actualization, bringing things tangible, with the awareness of collective needs. See, this is where the soul source connection is driving. Ego, mind, personality, human is in the sidecar. Because there's an awareness of collective needs. It's not me, I. That's the old paradigm. This event underlines the need to be mindful of our interconnectedness with the larger ecosystem we are part of. A couple of days later, on the 11th, Mercury stationed direct in Leo encourages us to take action according to how our awareness shifted while the planet was retrograde. Welcome, Olivia. The second half of August 2025 is colored by the transition from bold and expressive Leo energy to the practical and devotional energy of Virgo, which sets the stage for the upcoming eclipse season. We've got eclipse season in September. On August 23rd, a new moon in the early degrees of Virgo squares Uranus at 1 degree of Gemini. Square is a confrontational aspect. It's a release, it's pressure, it's energy that needs to be released. We enter a lunar month focused on revolutionizing our existing routines and definitions of health and service, while we are reminded of the dangers of being ruled by an overactive, untrained mind. We can see that playing out. Toward the end of the month, Venus moves into Leo, inviting us to celebrate life and reconnect with our joy and creativity. So that's an overview from Moon Omens. And this 12-year, we've been waiting for 12 years from astrologer Channing Nicholas. Well, now let's go to astrologer Pam Youngins with her North Point Journal. And she's speaking specifically to this Jupiter and Venus aligning with Sirius. The fixed star Sirius is the brightest star in Earth's night sky, shining 22 times brighter than our sun. As seen from Earth, the star is located at about 14 degrees Cancer this week. The planet Jupiter crosses that degree of the zodiac and aligns with Sirius. So Jupiter and Venus are conjunct, and they're crossing that line. This is the image, our main image, the star of magic, crossing the Rubicon. They're crossing that line. It's a line of no return. Jupiter and Venus align with Sirius. And there's magic, there's mythical magic here going on. So again, we see Rome burning, but metaphorically, and yet these auspicious energies are at the fore. They're present. In ancient cultures, this is Pam Youngins' North Point Journal. In ancient culture, Sirius was believed to be a portal to the gods with the ability to enhance a process of enlightenment. Today, the star is often called our spiritual sun, helping us shift into higher levels of spiritual awareness. The energies it transmits support spiritual awakening. And that's what this whole journey's been about. The unseen has been preparing us week after week in Weekly Wisdom and Insights for this spiritual awakening, for this new way of being. And yes, while the old is collapsing and it's right smack in our face, it's there so that we see ourselves. We see what our choices have done. We can see what people's current choices are doing. How much unrest, how much chaos, how much goo it's creating. And it's a wake-up call to say, this isn't what I want, or this isn't what I voted for, or this isn't the life I want my children and grandchildren to inherit. And because it's so in your face, it's amplified, and thankfully it is. It's incessant, and it's amplified and magnified so that we see it once and for all, and we transmute it. It's the two trains. Which train are you on? Jupiter is the planet of expansion, acting to magnify the intentions of whatever it touches. This week, as the giant planet joins in its energies with those transmitted by Sirius, a connection is opened between the physical and the spiritual realms. We have greater access to spiritual wisdom, a higher perspective, and a visionary mindset. Visionary advance is just a heartbeat away. Lean into your center. On the physical level of reality, Sirius is known as the star of success and supports brilliance in worldly achievements. It inspires us to dream big and to turn our goals and visions into reality. Jupiter's alignment with the star could be experienced as a call to step into one's power, to embrace a leadership role, and to shine brightly in some area of life. Specifically, we might find doors opening in the area of life represented by the house in our natal charts where 14 degrees Cancer is located. So you can look at your own individual astrology chart and see what house is Cancer, is 14 degrees Cancer located in. And then you can Google and see what does it mean to have Cancer in the second house, the fifth house, the 10th house. And it will give you an understanding of how this trifecta effect and these amplifications and this joy of what's taking place, of these alignments, will happen individually. Continuing Pam Youngin's North Point Journal, as with all things astrological, there are both positive and negatives associated with Sirius. Astrologer Roderick Kidson shares these insights in his book, The Magic of the Stars. Sirius is a spiritual star of truly immense power. Although it traditionally offers success and fame, in its unskillful aspect, Sirius is one of the stars of hubris. Traditionally, Sirius was called the dog star, but it is the wily desert jackal rather than the friendly domestic dog. The jackal is a skillful hunter, keen-sighted, representing the power to find one's way in the trackless darkness. Positively and skillfully used, however, Sirius raises people to the highest they can achieve, and its rewards are not only physical, but spiritual as well. Sirius is a star of magic, the ability to harness hidden forces and create something new, working with subtle energies and making them manifest in the material realm. So this is about, yes, we absolutely need and want a healthy ego, mind, personality human. In concert with that, there are times where we need to take that vessel, ego, mind, personality, human, and just pick it up and set it in the sidecar. And then in the quietness, harness the beauty and the power, the magical power of Venus, of Jupiter, of Sirius, of the unseen through our soul source connection to say, show me, guide me, follow, be led. And that way, and then the ego, mind, personality, human comes in, creative force comes in, divine masculine comes in concert to and with and in service of soul source connection, the unseen, these subtle energies. And then we manifest. And what we manifest is greatness. And this all reminded me of hiding your light under a bushel. And hiding one's light under a bushel is an idiom that means to conceal one's talents, abilities, or accomplishments from others. It implies a reluctance or unwillingness to let others know about one's strengths or positive qualities, often due to modesty or fear of drawing attention. The phrase originates from the Bible, specifically the Sermon on the Mount. The idiom uses the metaphor of a lamp, or light, and a bushel, a large basket used for measuring grain. Just as a lamp hidden under a bushel cannot provide light, a person who hides their talents is not using their abilities to benefit themselves or others. The phrase is often used to encourage individuals to be more confident and share their talents with the world, rather than keeping them hidden. It suggests that one's skills and accomplishments can be a source of positive influence and should not be suppressed. So when we let our soul shine, when we go as guided, when we listen and we go as guided, when we place ego, mind, personality, human in concert, in service to and with the soul, the unseen, our light shines. We're not meant to hide it. And Astrology by Lauren back, it was between July 25th and August 1st of 2025, on her Chiron retrograde and Mercury in the heart of the sun post. She had this beautiful quote by Brennan Manning. In a futile attempt to erase your past, we deprive the community of our healing gift. When we conceal our wounds out of fear and shame, our inner darkness can neither be illuminated nor become a light for others. See, this is about looking at the shadow. It's about harnessing the energy of the shadow to transmute it, to turn it into light, to, it's the temperance in the forge, to burn away the impurities so that what remains is of higher, greater value. It's a higher octave of self. And the soul, the unseen, is guiding us every step of the way. It will only ever be ego, mind, personality, human that prevents that from occurring, that blocks it or procrastinates or fears. And yet all of these messages are speaking to the star of magic and crossing this Rubicon. Jupiter and Venus aligning with Sirius. There's a visionary advance. It's just a heartbeat away. There's opportunities that open and await where previously only a void resided, this stagnation, this male-dominated society and way of thinking, and how pervasive that is in our lives, in industry, in governments, in everything we do, in the way we think. And yet the unseen is saying, you know, they're knocking loud at the cosmic door and saying, wake up, because guess what? That era is over. It's done. It's complete. And that doesn't mean just those that are in a physical male body. We are all divine masculine and divine feminine. And in harmony, in unity, is our greatest octave. When they are balanced, when they're pure. We've just fallen out of sync. We're out of step. Look at Mother Earth. Her axes were tilted so far off of true north. And yet, here comes the sun. Here comes, they said to us at the very end, the unseen said, eternal spring. Eternal spring is true north. How do we get there? It's number 3 from the unseen. 2 songs, one by Kelly Clarkson, one by Whitney Houston. Piece by piece, step by step. And this is where they said, follow the yellow brick road. And in The Wizard of Oz, when Dorothy lands in Munchkin Land, they tell her in order to get home, lean into your center. In order to be true north, follow the yellow brick road to the Emerald City. And of course, she does that. There's a journey and so forth. There's all these twists and turns. And yet what she comes to realize and understand is that what she sought, what she was seeking outside of herself, resided within her all along. What we're searching for individually and collectively already exists within us. And so once we stop giving our power away, once we stop buying into illusion and delusion, an old way of being, an old way of thinking and speaking, and we embrace this new octave, this matriarchal Aquarian, we the people, we, as above, so below, unity, oneness, way of life, it's crossing the Rubicon. Life just, when I say miraculously transcends, it does, because it's already a fait accompli. It's happening. It's just, where are we? Where is each individual person on the ascension spiral, the ascension ladder? And that is where you will meet your experience with it. This is, again, the star, the hermit, the temperance, and the tower. Because that tower moment is coming for everyone. It's just whether you're going to experience it positively, joyfully and positively, or not. Or not. So let us move now to, this is by etherealculture.com, and it's Juliana McCarthy. She's an astrologer. Mercury direct in Leo, turning the page. It's the Aquarius full moon is and Mars opposite Saturn and Neptune. So the Aquarius full moon arrived on Saturday the 9th with a rare grand kite forming in the background. Mars's opposition to Saturn and Neptune may spark fatigue, confusion, or fear of failure. But they're also helping us redirect our paths toward more authentic commitments and directions. See, it's that realignment to true north. And yes, it may come with fatigue and confusion or fear of failure, and yet, helping hand, the unseen is always wanting and seeking the very best of us. And so it's about aligning us with something more authentic in our commitments and our direction. Breakthroughs continue to abound as we purify abuses of power and egos gone awry and align more deeply with our values. What do we stand for? What's at your center? We can harness Aquarius's clear-sighted detachment to think outside the box and see the bigger picture. This is about, not to Kiki's point and comment, it's not about falling down the rabbit hole. It's about being clear. This is about making sure that we have, that our breakthroughs and everything, it's purifying abuses of power, temperance, and aligning with us with our deeper values. We can harness Aquarius's clear-sighted detachment to think outside the box and see the bigger picture. The Aquarius full moon asks us, how can we apply our talents to be of benefit to the world? See, it's an inverse of where we've been. It's not a question of how can we apply our talents to be of benefit to myself. It's how can we apply our talents to be of benefit to the world? And then, in reciprocity, the individual I, me, receives. But it's an inverse of where we've been. But this is Aquarian. It's matriarchal. It's we the people. I keep honing that and hammering that home because this is the unseen saying, this is what's happening. It's a complete inverse of where we've been. It's number 4 from the unseen. Over the rainbow, the Rubicon, over the rainbow, dreams really do come true. 4 exclamation points. So there's this aspect of, see, once we get there and once we actually cross this Rubicon, this point of no return, this no turning back, no giving up, forward ho. Still coming to that in a second. Forward ho. It means that over the rainbow, over the Rubicon, dreams really do come true. So Juliana McCarthy, ethereal.com, continues, Mercury direct in Leo. On Monday, August 11th, Mercury stations direct in Leo. Hallelujah. We'll have a whole show on Mercury in retrograde. So it stations direct in Leo, shifting our momentum after a challenging retrograde that tested our patience. This period has stirred confusion, delays, and miscommunications. But as Mercury now aligns with the outer planets, we're receiving the clarity we've been longing for. What direction are we heading in? Are we severing ties or moving forward in a new way? Are we ready to make the decisions that have felt out of reach? This is a threshold moment, one where insights, breakthroughs, necessary cord cutting, and creative alignments emerge. We are releasing the old and stepping into the next chapter. And so you can see where, again, there are times where we just have to move beyond people, places, things, old identities, masks, scripts, labels, all these things. It's a crossing the Rubicon. We lay them down. We empty the vessel. We purify the vessel so that we move forward with clarity, with having made space for the new. This retrograde has asked us to confront our shadows, particularly around ego, addiction, and communication patterns. If we've been putting off difficult conversations, they may erupt this week in the wake of Mercury stationing direct. Now, as the haze dissolves, we're no longer bound by uncertainty, doubt, or fear. And we had that, it was unfamiliar territory on August 6th is the show, this uncertainty or this unfamiliar territory. We stand more empowered, more decisive, whole, and resolved. Mercury's direct motion, supported by harmonious aspects to Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus, three major planets, heavy hitters, invites us to take grounded, inspired action while embracing new prospects and breakthroughs. The expansive energy of Jupiter and Venus conjunct, exact on Tuesday, enhances our ability to move forward with love, optimism, and a deeper connection to our values. What new story are we beginning? This star of magic, magic in the making. What new story are we beginning? Because we're willing to, walk the walk and talk the talk and release and embrace. Etherealculture.com continues, after weeks of feeling stuck and a little hopeless, the energies are finally flowing more freely. It's time to shed the past and move ahead with greater wisdom, clarity, and resolve, having integrated painful truths about ourselves and our lives. In doing so, we have the opportunity to co-create a future rooted in newfound wholeness, inspiration, and possibility. There's a lot of magic happening in these as above, so below astrological energies. And Juliana McCarthy, she concludes, as Mercury stations direct in Leo, may we release the patterns that have kept us bound to addiction and toxicity. May we purify our egos and embody our genuine selves as we step into the next chapter more healed, with deeper care for all. See, this is a it's a transformational moment. And it all comes down to choice, individual choice. Are we clinging to the past? Are we trying to rewind time? Are we trying to stop time? Are we clinging to these old aspects and identities and addictions and toxicity? Or are we facing them, purifying them, thanking them? Thank you. Thank you for showing me what hubris and entitlement and arrogance and shadow becomes when we don't harness the energy to transcend the lesson, and instead we become it. This is a reckoning and a reconciliation of the lessons that we became instead of the lessons we transcended. However, moving forward, remember that dog don't hunt. That old dog doesn't hunt in the new. So there's a reckoning. There's a tower moment coming. And that's where we find ourselves. And so again, with our mantra, I allow the mystery to unfold. It means being proactive. It means being a part, taking action, taking part, making positive choices that align. Now, forward ho, we've mentioned it a few times. Forward ho is an exclamation, often used to express enthusiasm and a call to action, particularly to move forward or advance. Similar to onward ho or let's go, it can also be a title for books and songs and camp themes. It's often associated with themes of progress, adventure, and overcoming obstacles. It's about the way forward. And the unseen is saying, no turning back is number 5. No turning back, no giving up, forward ho. Because otherwise it's stagnation. You're going to be stuck in the shadow of the Piscean, patriarchal, divine masculine shadow energies of that era, of that time. And this male-dominated society. But it's like they've talked about the glass ceiling breaking and the shattering. It's the fragmented realities was one of the shows. It's about the explosion, the implosion of that. Because what's next is before us. It's what came before, but it's the one that's before us, where we're headed. So now let's look at this is Astrology by Lauren. There's a lot of astrology in this episode because they're all speaking to these greater aspects of all of these different astrological energies taking place, and they overlap with the theme from the unseen. So this is Astrology by Lauren, an almost grand sextile. She begins with a quote by Jack Layton. My friends, love is better than anger. Hope is better than fear. Optimism is better than despair. So let us be loving, hopeful, and optimistic, and we'll change the world. It is by one light. Each of us is one light. And when we choose optimism and hope and love, that light illuminates, and then it radiates, and then it spreads out, and it's unseen, and yet contagious in the most positive, beautiful way. So, Astrology by Lauren. On August 8th, 9th, a full moon at 17 degrees Aquarius will illuminate all things Aquarius, which it did. Full moons are times of culmination, fulfillment, and disclosure. They can bring things to an end, reveal things that were previously hidden, and make us aware of things that were previously inscrutable. With the current Saturn-Neptune transit of uncertainty, this unfamiliar territory, the full moon might even bring some welcome clarity this coming week, this week. not only because of the full moon shining a light in the darker corners of our lives, but also because of a confluence of long-term as well as short-term transits involving the direct station of Mercury on August 11th, as well as the ruling planets of Aquarius, Saturn, and Uranus. This is not only about clarity, but an understanding of where we might fit in within the changing patterns of our lives and even the world at large. The world is changing. We are changing. Energy, time, everything is changing. And so it's to be in flow with, in oneness with this change. Colleen is saying, hopefully this nightmare ends. Yes, because it's painful to bear witness to what's happening. And yet, it is not sustainable. This kind of shadow hubris it will collapse under its own weight. And again, thankfully, it's as rapid and voluminous and incessant as it is, because that's what tips the scale. If this was a slow-mo event, people wouldn't be as awakened, agitated, irritated, confused. Not confused as in not understanding what's happening, confused as in, why is it happening? Why are we allowing this? So because it's coming so fast and furiously and incessantly, it's like a powder keg. It explodes. It collapses under its own weight. Note that the moon will be brightest on the night of August 8th and 9th, and in the morning when the full moon sets, you may even get a treat. For from the day of the full moon and until August 11th, you will be able to see the conjunction of Venus and Jupiter in the early morning sky, a transit that has to do with an abundance of love, hope, and connection. And this is what this astrological chart is speaking to. There's so many harmonious aspects in this that they override the negative. And yet the negative, the shadow, the negative, the oppositions and the squares, these frictional aspects, they're there purposely to help us face them and transmute them. So everything's purposeful. Continuing with Astrology by Lauren, Venus is often the brightest planet in the sky. And combined with Jupiter, it represents our big vision and hopes for the future. Jupiter, a planet that has to do with morals and ethics, will also be shining brightly in the early morning hours due to it being in its retrograde phase. All signs have ruling planets, and Aquarius has two. Its traditional ruler is Saturn, and its more recent ruler is Uranus. On August 11th, these two ringed giants will make an exact sextile, with Saturn at 1 degree Aries and Uranus at 1 degree Gemini, both with 12 arc minutes. Sextiles, harmonious aspects, are aspects of potential. At the full moon in Aquarius, we are being asked to ride the wave of change to align ourselves with our highest potential that is lying in wait within our own hearts and minds. Visionary advance is just a heartbeat away. Lean into your center. Saturn sextile Uranus gives us the opportunity to give form, materialization, to give form to new and innovative ideas. This can include revolutionary advances in technology. It can also include a changing order in society. But one thing it can bring us individually is the realization that you don't have to keep doing things the same way you've always done in the past. That there might be alternative and even better ways of approaching the challenges in our lives. Those that are fearful of not being in power, in control, it's the height of shadow, because it's not strength, it's fear. They're terrified. And yet one who stands at their center in their light, it's that, I think it's MC Hammer, can't touch that, can't touch this. You can't touch it. It's all powerful. So stand in your heart center, stand in your light. Be willing to see things anew, to let go of outdated old people, places, things, to make space for the new. And that is where your strength lies. It's in your soul source connection, in your heart center. Sextiles contain potential for good outcomes, but they are the sorts of good outcomes that require a little effort on our part to see them and take advantage of them. See, it's not like just sit back and wait for it to all come to you and happen. We have to be proactive. We have to co-create. We have to be willing to show up and make positive, good, next octave level choices for ourselves. So, Astrology by Lauren, they don't happen automatically. And when both Saturn and Uranus are involved in any sort of aspect, it also requires a willingness to step out of our comfort zone to some extent and or be willing to do things in a new or different way. What might you want to change in your perspective that will allow you to see the possibilities unfolding before you? It's our mantra. I allow the mystery to unfold. So here, Astrology by Lauren, she's saying, what might you want to change in your perspective that will allow you to see the possibilities unfolding before you, that might even bring the fulfillment of your dreams? What has been the impact of any recent changes that are occurring or have occurred in your life? What have you been avoiding, and in what ways are you limiting yourself or holding yourself back out of fear and uncertainty, hiding your light under a bushel? What are those things that are standing in the way of you being able to grow in the ways that you might not have previously thought possible? If you have come up against a brick wall, are you willing to consider alternatives? And if so, what might they be? What would it require for you to be true to your convictions, beliefs, and ideals? What would it take for you to step up to the plate, to walk the walk, as well as talk the talk? As times of uncertainty call, this unfamiliar territory, as times of uncertainty call for creative and alternative solutions. And she concludes with this beautiful quote and statement from Martin Luther King Jr. In 1959, at a youth march in support of integrating schools, Martin Luther King Jr. proposed that whatever career those young people might choose, that they might also pursue an avocation along with that, to be a dedicated fighter for civil rights, to make a career of humanity. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Commit yourself to the noble struggle for human rights. You will make a greater person of yourself, a greater nation of your country, and a finer world to live in." Just the sorts of innovative ideas that Saturn-Uranus transits support. And so may we all take these words to heart. See, there's a beauty in this, and the unseen was popping in with, imagine the fear. Look at these world leaders, air quotes, leaders. And you fear your people, your electorate? You fear their light? What you really fear is their power. And that power isn't brute force. It's divine. You fear their light, their divinity, their possibility. And so you seek to control and manipulate and oppress and suppress and divide and demean. Because that's cheap and easy. That's easier than looking. And it's not just world leaders. How do we do this individually with ourselves or with our friends, our partners, our spouses, whatever it may be, whatever our friends, coworkers? We should never be afraid or intimidated of another's, it's namaste, of another's light. I bow to the divine in you. We should seek to celebrate it, raise it up, emulate it, so that it brings out our light. It brings out the best in us. And again, it's a ripple effect. Now let's look at, let's go to, because we're on this topic really quickly, it's number 6 from the unseen. And they said, eyes wide shut. No longer, no more. Eyes wide shut refers to the act of being aware of something but choosing not to acknowledge or accept it, often due to willful ignorance or denial. It describes a state where one's eyes are open physically, but their perception and understanding are closed off. This phase is commonly used to highlight situations where individuals or groups avoid confronting uncomfortable truths or realities, often related to personal relationships, societal issues, or hidden truths. So it's about, eyes wide shut is about willful ignorance, denial, it can be metaphorical blindness. And in essence, it's just saying, the unseen is saying, eyes wide shut, no longer, no more, exclamation point. They are saying loudly to us, no more. You don't get to bury your head in the sand. You don't get to know the truth and then be willful and ignorant about it. It's going to keep coming. It's a tower moment. It's going to keep coming until you learn the lesson, until you transcend it. Because becoming the lesson is no longer an option. That dog doesn't hunt in the new. So it's a whole different operating system, a whole different language. It's a paradigm shift. And it's the star of magic. It's crossing the Rubicon. A change is going to come. Last but not least is hexagram 8, uniting, unite. And we have worked with this before. It's a beautiful hexagram. Its hidden influence is 23, split apart. Split apart from these things that no longer serve. Why? Like the fire, to regenerate. Its underlining cause, 14, great possessing, shine. See, this is about the light, hiding your light under a bushel. Great possessing, shine your light. Step forward, be of service, be your individual life and experience may be exactly what 1,000 or 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 people need. So don't be afraid to step into your center, into your light, and help harness everything that is great and divine about you to help others. But we do it from a place of we the people. We do it from a place of service. And in reciprocity, in return, we individually receive. This is from Carrie Hone at cafeosoul.com, and it brings us to our first quote. When you merge the world in here with the world out there, your destiny is revealed. Because again, remember, Dorothy, Wizard of Oz, everything she needed was within her. She already had it. So when you merge the world in here with the world out there, your destiny is revealed. Holding together or uniting is something that plays out in the way we pursue and are pursued by others, but also how we find a sense of union within. Where the previous hexagram, she, army, had to do with organizing the will around the collective, uniting places the focus more on uniting the diverse aspects of the individual, or unifying all aspects of the individual with others. When receiving this hexagram, one is asked to seek the oracle again, to explore whether one is truly ready to transcend egoistic aims. Am I willing to lay everything down and empty the vessel? The underlying cause or opposite condition of possession in great measure led you to a pinnacle, but the hidden influence of splitting apart now focuses on regeneration. This may call for a transcendental perspective in the spirit of serving others. See, it's this transcendental perspective about the spirit of serving others. The second reading should provide more detail about the nature of a partnership or union and where you stand in your growth. You cannot know the love of another until you discover self-love, the love of yourself. And this is kind of one of those statements, love, air quotes, love yourself. And it's so, in a way, cliche and so forth. And yet, what the unseen, how they materialized or grounded that was they said to me, love yourself enough to do something or not do something, or love yourself more than something. That solidifies it, that grounds it, that brings it. It's not just this airy-fairy love yourself. Love yourself enough to pursue, to change, to release, to not do something. Or love yourself more than what the monkey mind in your head might be saying, or more than what other people are thinking or saying. Love yourself enough, love yourself more than. And that's where because you cannot know the love of another until you discover self-love. You are called to be unified with others, with life, and most importantly, with all aspects of who you are. This is about being unified, in harmony with, in love with your soul source connection. You're everything. It brings us to our second quote. Holding together means uniting. And it's an image of these beautiful, colorful yarn spools. And it's this thing that we are exactly that, fractals of light, this iridescence, all the colors under the rainbow. And so each of us. And so when holding together means uniting, it means uniting all of the parts of ourselves. We don't leave something out. We bring it all together. And finally, it brings us to our final quote, which is, love is the bond that draws things into unity. It's love. Love is the bond that draws things into unity. Anything less than love, or anything less pure than love, repels. It splits apart. It divides. It prevents oneness. It prevents healing. It prevents unity. But in this moment, and in these moments moving forward, because again, astrologically, all of these energies are going to be playing out, and they're beautiful. Just the kite and the grand trines and the star and the mystic rectangle and all of these, and the outer planets shifting. So make the choice to harness the star of magic in the making. Make the choice to cross the Rubicon. No turning back, no giving up, forward ho. Because this visionary advance is just a heartbeat away, and there's opportunities that open and await where previously only a void resided. Because there is a point where there's a stagnation involved that will collapse. It will collapse. It's just, how do we navigate the time in this transition, in this momentary handoff between two ages, two eras, two energies, two ways of being? And how quickly do we decide to get on the right train, the train that's leaving the station, and watch our world just expand and unfold? I conclude with our mantra, I allow the mystery to unfold. Allow the mystery to unfold. Be proactive, be a participant, a proactive participant. Make good choices. And we will see what the unseen is guiding us to next on this really magical, beautiful journey that we have been on since, I believe, November 17th of 2021. So until next week, be well, be wonderful, be proactive, and we will indeed see you next week.
You've been listening to Dearjames Live. Gain intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions, and so much more by tuning in next week and visiting dearjames.com.